The countdown is on. The draft is just days away. And if you think the front office is just sitting on their hands, you are dead wrong. We are staring down a week that could completely define our Super Bowl window. We've got blockbuster contract news, mystery surrounding our backup quarterback situation, and a massive clash between NFL insiders that tells us two completely different stories about our draft strategy. The rumors are flying. The stakes have never been higher. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly what's happening behind the scenes in Los Angeles. Before we dive into the madness, smash that subscribe button right now if you want the absolute fastest, most reliable updates on the planet. We're tracking every move, and you do not want to miss the breaking alerts. Let's start with the biggest headline hitting the wire, Matthew Stafford. If you haven't heard the news, stop what you are doing because this changes everything. There is significant progress being made on a massive extension for our MVP quarterback. Every time I say that, MVP Matthew Stafford, it puts a smile on my face, but the actual contract news is what should have every single one of us excited. The word from the insiders is that the Rams are working to get a deal done that keeps Stafford in the building for the 2026 season and beyond. Now, the deal isn't signed in ink just yet, but let me tell you, this isn't going to wait until after the draft. I am betting my bottom dollar this happens in the next few hours or days. So, what are we looking at here? There are really only two ways this plays out. The first option is the Rams essentially tearing up his current deal. They'd get rid of those messy void years, pay him more cash, and lock him in for a one-year extension. It keeps us in that year-to-year rhythm, rewarding him for his incredible play. But the second option, that is the one that has me dreaming. What if Stafford says, "My body feels great, I'm ready for the long haul," and he signs a multi-year deal? Think about what we saw last season. Does anyone truly believe this man is slowing down? He is asserting himself as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, and he is doing it right here in our colors. If he is ready to commit, if he feels like he can lead us to the promised land for 2 or 3 more years, you do that deal every single day of the week. If you're in charge, you don't bet against Matthew Stafford. You bet on him. The moment this deal drops, we are going to be filming an emergency update, so make sure your notifications are turned on. But the Stafford news brings us to a massive, looming question. Who is actually backing him up? Because right now, the situation with Jimmy Garoppolo is a total disaster waiting to happen. We all know Jimmy G is the logical choice to come back as the backup. He's experienced, he fits the system, and he's been in the league forever. But here is the kicker. He might just walk away. There is real talk that Jimmy G is considering retirement. Imagine that. You go from having a veteran safety net to just having Stetson Bennett on the roster behind Stafford. That's not a Super Bowl caliber room. That is a massive hole in our depth chart. Could Jimmy be waiting to see if a starting job opens up somewhere else, like with the Steelers? Maybe. He might be waiting to see if Aaron Rodgers decides to hang it up. But the Rams cannot afford to wait. We need a contingency plan, and we need it yesterday. And that brings me to the spicy trade rumor of the day, Anthony Richardson. I know, some of you are dying for this. You want to see what Sean McVay could do with a guy like that. But I'm going to be real with you. I am not buying the hype. Look, Sean McVay is a genius. We all know that. He can elevate almost any player. But Anthony Richardson, he has massive accuracy issues, especially over the middle of the field. That is the bread and butter of this offense. If you can't hit the intermediate routes in this system, you don't exist. Do I think we could trade for him for a cheap, late-round pick? Sure. Would it be a fun experiment? Maybe. But do I want our Super Bowl hopes resting on that if Stafford goes down? Absolutely not. Who is to blame if we go into the season with no solid backup? Is it the front office for not securing a vet, or is it just the harsh reality of the NFL market? Drop a name in the comments below. Tell me who you want as our backup quarterback. But wait, because the draft rumors are even crazier than the quarterback talk. We have a total clash of the titans between NFL insiders Todd McShay and Albert Breer. Todd McShay put out a report that has people scratching their heads. He mentioned that the Rams are being linked to Ty Simpson. Now, I have to be honest with you guys. I find that extremely hard to believe. McShay says the Rams liked him during the college season, but the idea of us taking Ty Simpson at pick 13, that feels like a massive reach. I don't see him being there at 61 either. It's just not adding up. If we are looking at rookies, I'd be keeping my eyes on Garrett Nussmeier. We've seen the team scouting him. He fits the draft range, and it makes way more sense than forcing a pick on Ty Simpson. But keep this in mind. Draft season is smoke and mirrors. Everyone is trying to confuse everyone else. Speaking of smoke and mirrors, let's talk about the elephant in the room, A.J. Brown. I know, it was fun while it lasted. We all got a little excited, a little hopeful. But the dream of seeing A.J. Brown in a Rams jersey is dead. It is officially over. Adam Schefter reported that Brown is likely headed to the Patriots after June 1st. And you know what? That's fine. We had that brief moment where it felt like it could happen. And yeah, maybe some of us got a little carried away. But when you looked at the cost, when you looked at what it would take to pull the trigger on that deal, it stopped making sense. The moment we saw the coaching staff and the front office talking about these trade rumors on national media, I knew it was a closed chapter. You don't talk about active trade negotiations on air if they're still happening. That was a past tense conversation, and it's time we all moved on. But hold on, because we haven't even touched on the biggest draft mystery of all. What are we actually doing at pick 13? Albert Breer dropped some serious insight into our draft plans, and it contradicts almost everything else we've been hearing. He says the general consensus around the league is that the Rams are going to target a wide receiver at 13. He mentioned guys like My Lemon as the perfect fit for this system. Now, compare that to what McShay said earlier. We have a legitimate source versus source battle here. Who do you trust? I'm leaning toward Breer. Why? Because it aligns with what we've seen on the scouting trail. We have met with more wide receivers than any other position in this class. It's been the primary focus. But there's a twist. Breer also mentioned that we might trade up. And if we do trade up, it's not for the guy you think. People are throwing out names like Tyson, but I don't see it. He's got injury concerns, and he's too similar to what we already have. If we are going to trade up, there are only two names that make sense to me: Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Love. Carnell Tate is the prototype. He fits the mold of what we need to replace a guy like Davante Adams down the road. It's a seamless transition. And Jeremiah Love, that guy is a generational talent. He is the kind of player who changes your offense the second he steps on the field. You turn your offense into an absolute juggernaut with a weapon like that. Do I think we'll actually pull the trigger on a trade up for either of them? I don't know. It's a gamble. But if we're going to be aggressive, those are the only two moves that make sense. And don't think for a second that we are ignoring the defense. Breer highlighted that the Rams are still looking at cornerbacks, even after acquiring Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. And thank goodness for that. Let's look at the reality of that depth chart. Our starters. I love them. I think McDuffie and Watson are going to ball out. But behind them, it's thin. If an injury hits, are you genuinely comfortable with the depth we have right now? If you're saying yes, you're not looking closely enough. We need to flesh out that room. We need more bodies, more competition, and more insurance. Whether that comes from signing a veteran off the scrap heap or using our mid-round picks to draft a corner who can develop, we have to address it. We can't go into a Super Bowl push with a cornerback room that falls apart the second someone tweaks a hamstring. So, what is the game plan heading into draft week? It's a balancing act. We need a wide receiver to open up this offense. We need to secure the backup quarterback position to protect our investment in Stafford. And we need to shore up the defensive secondary to ensure we aren't one injury away from disaster. It's going to be a wild week. We have rumors about trades, rumors about retirements, and rumors about who the next face of this franchise might be. And you know where you're going to get the real story. We are going to be tracking every single rumor, every single leak, and every single pick. The stage is set. The Rams are in a position to be aggressive, to be bold, and to go all in. They have the pieces, they have the coach, and they have the quarterback. Now, they just need to nail this draft. But before I let you go, I want to hear from you one more time. If we have to trade back from 13 to gather more picks, are you on board with that? Or is there a player you think we absolutely must take at that spot? Do we gamble on a receiver, or do we prioritize the defense? Drop your draft board in the comments below. Let's see who really knows their stuff. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this. There is so much information coming in, and I know it's a lot to process. But this is the best time of the year to be a fan. We're building something special, and I'm glad you're here for the ride. Stay tuned, keep your notifications on, and get ready for the draft. It's going to be a roller coaster, but we're ready. Let's go Rams.